Hello, my name is Sofia Lucero, and today I'm going to talk about the Argentine dictatorship, also known as the Dirty War, and how it affected Argentinians and their government. It was the dictatorship of 1976. In 1976, there was a dictatorship in Argentina when the government and President Isabel Perón got overthrown by the military. 30,000 people disappeared and got killed, and most got tortured by the government death squads trained by the U.S. The U.S. was a big supporter of the dictatorship, sending military supplies and troops. People got stolen from their homes. If the government thought that they were against them or a leftist, they could get killed or thrown in jail, even if they weren't involved in politics. They never knew when someone they knew could disappear or get arrested, even exiled. The dictatorship lasted until 1983 because the military took a big blow in 1982 when Argentina lost the Falkland Island War against Britain. What caused the dictatorship? It all started back in 1946 when General Juan Perón won the election. In 1955, Perón fled after being threatened by a military revolt, which used to happen quite often before the dictatorship. He came back into office in 1973 after an 18-year exile. That same year, he became very ill and the political center collapsed. Later, in 1974, he died and his wife Isabel Perón, also vice president, became president. In 1976, Isabel got overthrown by the government in a military revolt, this one changing Argentina forever. Another cause of the dictatorship was the U.S. The U.S. was currently in the Cold War, so they were worried that Latin American countries would become communist and join the Soviet. So they built schools to teach Latin American forces with the skills and ideology to fight communist governments and maintain what they called political stability. A famous one in Georgia was called the School of the Americas, but they were paying and training the government death squads of Argentina and many other countries' dictatorships. The U.S. knew this was happening, but kept doing it because of the fear of losing power. The U.S. helped cost many people their lives. Desaparecidos. The disappeared. Los desaparecidos were people during the dictatorship who disappeared. Many people, both opponents of the government and others that were not politically engaged, got taken and murdered. Meanwhile, many assassinations occurred in Argentina's government. There were mass shootings and throwing of live citizens from airplane to death in the Atlantic and the River of the Plata. There was a network of 340 secret concentration camps all over the country where people got tortured and killed. People the age of 16 to 30 were about 81% of the victims. Women in concentration camps that were pregnant both already or raped by guards were kept alive until they had birth, and the babies were then taken to police and government loyalists favored by the government. Las abuelas de la Plaza de Mayo, or the grandparents of la Plaza de Mayo, were the grandparents of the kids and babies taken from their families. To this day, they keep protesting and keep trying to find their lost grandchildren. Here is the story of María Isabel Chorico de Marini, an activist and president of las abuelas de la Plaza de Mayo. Her story started on November 24th, 1976, about 18 months after the military took over. Maria was an art and history teacher. Her son, Daniel, and his wife, Diana, and their 3-month-old baby, Clara, lived in the neighborhood of La Planta, about 40 miles from southeast Buenos Aires. A few blocks down was her house. The neighborhood went under attack, which involved 200 armed forces on the ground and bombing and strafing from the air, which lasted for 4 hours. Maria, the next day, living so close, went to go check on the people and her son, just to find out his house shot up and bombed, all because he made newspapers against the dictatorship. Daniel, had turned out, had left for a meeting in Buenos Aires shortly before the attack, but was tracked down and killed 8 months later. His wife, Diana Turgini, was slain on the patio. She had hidden their daughter Clara in a bathtub covered in towels. After the attack, a soldier had found the baby and carried her out onto the street. He asked the commander of the operation, Coronel Ramos Campas, what to do with her. The 2 police officers stayed in a car nearby, and Camps told the soldier to give the baby to them. 30 years later, a neighbor told Marini that she had seen one of the policemen place Clara in an ambulance. When the policeman noticed her watching, he had shouted for her to go back to her house or he'd kill her. When Maria found out that Clara was given to 2 police officers, she started her search for her, checking police stations, hospitals, juvenile courts, and churches. In months of looking, she found no trace of the child, and no one who would discuss the situation with her. People started to think Maria was crazy. A woman in a juvenile court suggested that Maria met up with Las Madres de la Plaza de Mayo and gave her the telephone number of Alicia y las Cuadras, whose daughter had been pregnant when she had disappeared. The group had been created April 1977 by mothers searching for children who had disappeared. Because of the military, though some of the desaparecidos' bodies were found, many were not found. In 1983, the year the dictatorship ended, President Raúl Alfonsini established the National Commission of Disappearance Persons, an organization created to investigate the cases of the victims of the forced disappearances. Its work led to the publication of Nunca Más, Never Again report, which documented and studied human rights abuses. The effect of the dictatorship on music. Music was a way of rebellion and became a powerful form of cultural resistance and hope against the dictatorship and military. The military saw danger in people attending concerts, so they would wait outside concerts and round people up as they left. They also banned songs that they found dangerous because they protested against the government, such as Su Generous's Señor Tijeras. So, a lot of artists had to use code words.
En la época de los militares, que no se podía decir casi nada, y los rockeros teníamos un argot, ¿no? Una serie de códigos que estaban en las canciones que la gente no los podía censurar porque no se entendía, no eras comunista. O sea, era, viste, ¿qué era? Harto, ¿qué es esto? Pero la gente sabía, ¿no? Que Tajo quería decir de esto, que la pálida era lo otro.
Other music artists got arrested and killed because they protested against the dictatorship. Let's talk about some of them. León Gieco was a folk rock musician who wrote songs that were protests against the dictatorship, like Solo Le Pido a Dios, All I Ask of God. Charlie Garcia, along with many bands like Su Generis' Juanito Minster, also Serujinan with band members like David Lebón, Oscar Morro, Pedro Azan. Those songs like Los Dinosaurios, meaning the dinosaurs, the song talks about how it feels knowing that anyone you know can disappear, but knowing that the military is going to disappear one day. The dictatorship's military gained the name Los Dinosaurios because they used green Ford vehicles. Also, a song by Serujinan, La Gracia de las Capitales, or The Greed of the Capital, which called out the military's government's greed. Victor Heredia was a musician banned from performing during the dictatorship. His songs became a form of protest. Early punk bands like Alerta Roja made many protest songs against the government too. The aftermath of the dictatorship. After the dictatorship was overthrown in 1982, the demand for democracy and justice was high. In 1983, President Raúl Alfonsini won the election in Argentina. In 1985, the trials of La Junta occurred, which was when top military commanders, including former military dictator Jorge Rafael Videla, were prosecuted in a civilian court for human rights abuses. This was the first time a democratic government prosecuted a former dictatorship's leaders in the same country in Latin America. There is an interview with someone who lived through the dictatorship, Leo Kaplan.
I was living in Buenos Aires, Argentina when the 1976 coup happened. I was 19 years old when the dictatorship started. Although the possibility of a military coup was imminent, I was shocked, extremely scared, and horrified when it happened. I thought about leaving at least Buenos Aires for a while because at that time I was part of a student organization in my high school. Soon after the coup, all political activities, unions, groups that opposed the military coup were chased. Several friends of mine who participated in those groups went into exile. Some of them were imprisoned and others disappeared for a while or forever.
This dictatorship caused a revolution in Argentina's government and culture. Even if it is painful, it is important to talk about these events so we can prevent them from happening in the future. Thank you for listening.